Hey there YouTube, what's going on? Richie Rich back at the helm today, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the Dragonball Z Lost movie called Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans. Check it out. So, Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans, the Dragon Ball Z's in total, like the 16th Dragon Ball Z movie, and this one is always considered a lost movie because it wasn't actually released like the other DVD movies. It didn't have a number like, you know, like we're talking about like the first one, that being Dead Zone, World's Strongest, Trio Might, Lord Slug, Cooler's Revenge, Return of Cooler, Super Android 13, so on and so on. This movie wasn't actually given a numbered release. What happened with this movie is it came with a video game that was released in the early 90s. I believe it was 1993 for the yes, it was a home video cassette released in Japan, only in Japan, in at 1993, and it was the visual guides for the Dragon Ball Z Gaiden games, Plan to Eradicate this, with the same title name, Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans. So it was visual guides of what like cutscenes that couldn't be, because it was Super Nintendo. The game was the visual guides were released for, so obviously couldn't. It would have taken the console to its limits to play them. About this movie, I'd say it's pretty awesome. But let me start with the plot. This The movie takes place same time as the Broly movie, because it's in the 10 days, I'd say in the 10 days wait. So just imagine if the Z fighters in that 10 days wait, in the first 4 or 5 days they went and fought Broly and they came back. This would be what happened in the last remaining days before Cell, because in this movie you can see that Vegeta is performing the final flash, which he learned only after going into the hyperbolic time chamber. Trunks is in his SSJ, the ultimate SSJ form, which he learned, which he trained, which he was able to achieve that after training in the hyperbolic time chamber. Gohan's a bit taller. He's a teen. He's got the short hair, and he can turn Super Saiyan, and that only happened after the hyperbolic time chamber. And as well, like Goku and Gohan both find their full powered Super Saiyan form. So it easily if you've seen this legendary Super Saiyan form, it's like the next what happens after, And the funny thing about even in this movie is they mention Broly, but I'll get to that later. Okay, the plot about this movie. Dr. Raichi is like one of the remaining Tuffles in the universe. This happens way before like the Frieza end up destroying the planet Vegeta. But what happens is the Tuffles lived on a planet called Power Plant, and the Saiyans came onto the planet in their giant ape forms. They end up destroying the planet Plant, and Dr. Raichi, who's the main antagonist in this movie, ends up Dr. Raichi ends up getting killed in this movie by one of the giant apes. Although he does manage to escape with a capsule on the he escapes from planet Plant in a capsule like a spaceship, and he ends up transferring to Dark Planet, which is the last world at the end of the universe. Dr. Raichi now wants revenge on all the Saiyans, and he wants to eliminate, eradicate all the Saiyans in the all the last remaining Saiyans, which are now, as it stands with Broly being gone, is Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, and Future Trunks. So what Raichi does is he puts devices on Earth that emit this thing called Distron gas that destroys all life over like the next you know, throughout like days going by. And also he sends like monsters to protect his Destron's gas. So Mr. Popo comes and finds Goku in his house, and he tells him about the situation, about the Destron gas will end up destroying the Earth if Goku and the Z fighters don't deal with this right away, you know. So they all go to each different location of the Destron gas on the planet Earth. What happens is when the Destron gas is there, the characters are not allowed to. They're unable to use their special key attacks. You know, so Goku cannot use the Kamehameha, Gohan can't use Masenko, Piccolo can't use the special beam cannon, Trunks burning attack, and Vegeta can't use the final flash until the Destron gas in that location has been destroyed. They can't use their signature attacks. You know, so what ends up doing is they fight the monster, end up destroying the monster. You know, with like heavy punches, heavy kicks, just to eliminate it. You know, then once all the Destron gases are Destron gas being emitted have been eliminated, and the monsters and everything, they all Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, and Piccolo all rush to like the where the last Destron gas is. And what happens is a really cool moment is Frieza, Cooler, Turles, and Lord Slug all appear at once, and it kind of like scares, it kind of like catches them by surprise, you know, especially Goku and Vegeta, like, Frieza. Yeah, they appear, and little do they know they're actually ghost warriors that Dr. Raichi actually summoned. King Kai actually lets them know, so they're not actually real, you know. So they're fighting them. It's really cool fight. They're fighting them like Goku's taking on Cooler, Frieza's taking Trunks, Piccolo's taking Lord Slug, and Turtle's taking Gohan. They fight them for like next to like 5 minutes. Once they find out they're Ghost Warriors, they're easily able to destroy them. You know, it was really cool seeing like Cooler and Frieza for the first time together. You know, shortly after this, once they beat them, they end up. King Kai actually tells them who the where the Ghost Warriors originated from, who was responsible from this. You find out that it was Dr. Raichi, who was a Tafu who wants revenge on all the Saiyans, you know. So what happens is they use Bulma's spaceship to go to where Dr. Raichi has been his base, which is the Dark Planet. And yeah, it's a Dark Planet, so where they can go to him and engage him, and you know, take care of him, you know, once and for all. You know, once they actually get to the place, they have to like actually find him. They get attacked by some guards, you know, but they're easily dealt with. They get to like the main room where Dr. Raichi is, and you can see he has this big machine called Hachiak, you know, and once the Z Warriors actually Z fighters get there, it's revealed that Dr. Raichi is a Ghost Warrior himself, and he's only alive only because Hachiak is generating power to him. You know, after a short fight, Goku is able to like destroy a shield of Dr. Raichi, and Vegeta is able to give him the coup de grace, gives him like a large final flash which destroys Dr. Raichi, and he makes sure that he vaporizes him so he's not able to materialize again. When Dr. Raichi actually dies, his last words of the Saiyans, he actually goes into the supercomputer, which is Hachiak. And what happens is the computer is able to create an android body of the Hachiak computer. So all the energy and all the hate that Dr. Raichi had got transmitted into the computer, and he was able to make an android body. So Hachiak, how he appears is very much similar to Cell. Even when he walks, it makes that same kind of sound, you know. And what happens when Hachiak actually comes for like a good while, he gives the Z Fighters the biggest beating of their lifetime. If you thought what Broly did in Legendary Super Saiyan to the Z Fighters, this is not even close. Even while Goku's fighting, he mentions that Hachiyak is probably even stronger than Broly after fighting. But that's because I said these movies are very very close within the timeline, and it mentions that they're both canon. So he mentions that he's stronger than even Broly, which is crazy. How strong is Broly anyway? But how strong is Broly? For Hachiyak to be strong, he must be really really powerful. After like a prolonged fight, what happens is they're able to find out his weakness. That every time Hachiyak powers up his I think he's his revenge blaster, it leaves him vulnerable. So at the end, Goku's aware of this, so he tells the other Z warriors that let's attack him all at the AM while he's charging. So he charges it every 15 seconds. The last time he's about to do it, Goku does a Super Kamehameha, Gohan does a Masenko, Gohan does Piccolo does a Special Beam Cannon, Vegeta does a Final Flash, and Trunks does a Burning. I'm not sure. No, I'm sorry. Piccolo doesn't do the Special Beam Cannon. That's in the remake. But they all do this all signature attacks, combine them, and they beam struggle with Hachiyak's Revenge Blaster, and they're able to destroy Hachiyak at the end. Just before the Dark Planet is about to explode and calm down, Goku does the instant transmission to take them all back to Earth, and he's able to get there in the nick of time before it was exploded. And that's pretty much the plot right there. So what I like about this movie, the awesome thing about this movie is it took place around the time DBZ was on its high point. So this is just around the Cell Saga game. If you actually go on the wiki, this actually took place between episodes. It was made between episodes 195, Warriors of the Dead, and 196, the tournaments begins. So just at the end of the Cell games, this movie was made, and this was one of the real like high points in the series, like the Cell Saga, like when that was when that was taking place, that was like some of the best artwork, best story, best fighting, all the Z fighters were like at their strongest point together, and all the Z fighters were involved, because near the end of the series, like unless you were San, or like maybe Piccolo, like no one was really involved in Dragonball Z. This movie is a lot of that. Goku, Gohan, Piccolo, Vegeta, and Trunks. It's not like that whole Goku going to save the day thing. They're all working together. To try and defeat the enemies in this film. It's really awesome seeing like the villain Hachiyak, who it is kind of similar to when Broly was Broly was taking out all of the Z fighters in the I would say movie, not chronologically before this, but set in the same time as before this. Take them all out. But I think Hachiyak's very cool. He's not as talkative as the like a Cell or Frieza, but he's very very super quick and super powerful, in destroying them. And it would have been nice if we could have seen him in more games. It's just very difficult because this was a lost movie. A lot of people don't consider this. It's always seen as a lost movie, so they don't consider this canon to this series. But what they ended up doing, they made a remake in 2010 of the Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans. That movie, honestly, is nowhere near as good as this. If you really want to watch the Plan to Eradicate and the true one, watch the 1993 original, because the 2010 one, a lot of chunks are taken out. They've got a lot of scenes that are just not even fun and when existed. The even the animation style. For me, I'm old school. I like how DBZ looked in this original form. I personally think that people would enjoy this movie. I mean, if you enjoyed Broly's the Super Saiyan, there's no reason you wouldn't like this. Bad about this movie, I'd say one of the bad things is that because it's the video guide for the game, there are some bits in the movie. It will say like end of part one, end of part two, end of part three, rather than running like a full movie. And then bits where it's saying end of one, that takes about 10 minutes long, because the movie altogether is like 1 hour like running left, but then bits like cut it off, and it kind of makes it like chapters instead of a movie. So but again, it is really off the visual guide. It's like cutscenes from the Super Nintendo game, so it is, it's nothing really you can do. But that's another bad point, and another bad thing is I'm trying to find this. It's really, really super rare to find a high standard quality of this. I luckily have the MKV 720p version of this, which is a clear version of the original one, not the remake. So it's just two parts, which are like 5 minutes left. But it's very difficult to find like a very, very good quality, because it's a solid movie. But yeah, they're the only two bad points. But yeah, I, I would say if I gave this a score, my favorite movies from the DBZ universe is Cooler's Revenge and Broly Super Saiyans. After that, I'm strong enough to put like this probably third, because it's got a great story. The way the story builds up, and the enemy is very awesome at the end, and seeing inclusions of Frieza and Cooler and Turles and thing. When Frieza appears in the movie, it's like, okay, so these characters are like in a way canon, and they could have existed in the Dragon Ball Z series, not just the movies, because a lot of people think every Dragon Ball Z movie is not canon. They were just made just as a like alternate reality. But with Frieza appearing there, it's like, oh, they do exist, in that world. So it's also a movie. The fighting's great. It's very, very enjoyable. It's also, lastly, this movie features a kick-ass soundtrack. All the soundtracks were made from a Japanese studio, as the film is completely dubbed in Japanese. Which the one I had does feature English subtitles. Pretty much at anyone you see of the 1993 version, it always comes with English subtitles, so you don't have to worry about that. But the soundtrack is really, really awesome. For it's not the original like you would see in the Japanese. If you watch like the Japanese dubs of the Dragon Ball Z episode, it has that same similar soundtrack, for Dragon Ball Z. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, that's not the score that's in this movie. It's pretty, rad. It suits the movie so well. It has that very like kind of early 90s anime kind of soundtrack. Similar to some of the ones you would hear in Cowboy Bebop, and it is very alive. It's so like the music that they play in the final showdown, or when the Z fighters are fighting Hachiak. It's very, very catchy. And it really, really sets like how extreme this fight with Hachiak is. Like has that kind of like great, great, great feeling when you're watching it. So yeah, the soundtrack really, really awesome. So in closing, I would say that this movie is it deserves like at least solid 9 out of 10 movie. It's up there with like Cooler's Revenge, Broly Legendary Super Saiyan, and the other top Dragon Ball Z movies. It has a great, great lasting appeal. It's very different to the other movies, obviously, because it's only dubbed in Japanese. It's got their own like custom soundtracks. Great, great story. That builds up the plot. Makes you want to see like how the Z Files are going to deal with this as well. It's not like some of the other movies that came before, that they go through the plot very very quickly because they've only got that 30-40 minutes just to 44 minutes for the duration of the film. So I feel the story was very very done well to show about Dr. Raichi, his past with the Toughles, how the Saiyans came as the Uzaros, end up destroying the planet, so you can see why like Raichi has all this revenge and why he's destroy the Saiyans. It makes it very very interesting plot. Yeah, the only, like I said, the only bad things about the it's not exactly the film. It's just um, trying to like get, maybe now because we're in 2015. You can always find it on YouTube, and just trying to find a high quality of the 993 version. Is sometimes very very difficult. You can always try the remake, but coming from me who's seen both of them, 993, but 993 version is way more. You would enjoy it so much more. If you can watch the remake and you've never seen it, cool. But if you have the choice, you can watch the original. But yeah, it's an awesome movie. I really enjoyed watching it, and yeah, if you have watched Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans, the 993 version, or even the 2010 version, let me know how you felt about it. Did you think it was in your top 5 of the Dragon Ball Z movies? If you didn't really think nothing much at all, leave me some comments, and I can get back to you on that. Okay, this is Rich signing off. Thanks very much. See ya.